Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, I am going to explain the steps to deploy the Bold Reports report server in the Amazon Elastic Kubernetes service with Ingress. Bold Reports is an application that provides organizations with an easy and cost-effective way to add reporting capabilities to their existing infrastructure without requiring any development effort. With the Bold Reports report server, we can create, manage, and share reports easily without having to write any code. One of the major benefits of the report server is that it can be deployed on premises or in the cloud. Let's look at the cluster prerequisites for deploying the Bold Reports report server. The hardware requirements are: a CPU with 2 or more cores, at least 4 GB of RAM. The software requirements are: a database like Microsoft SQL Server 2012 or newer, PostgreSQL or MySQL. Make sure your database is accessible outside the machine, too. The command line tools kubectl and AWS CLI. And any web browser like Microsoft Edge, Mozilla Firefox, or Chrome. Now, let's start the deployment. First, download the highlighted deployment files from the Bold Reports Kubernetes GitHub repository. I have provided a link in the description below. For my convenience, I am using Visual Studio Code. You can use your own editor. Let's go over these files and modifications. Deployment contains the configuration to create and manage the pods using a replica set. Configuration in HPA is used to automatically increase or decrease the number of pods in response to the workload's CPU or memory consumption. Ingress contains the configuration for controlling the traffic routing and exposes HTTP and HTTPS routes from outside the cluster to services within the cluster. Log4netconfig contains configuration settings that are used to view the application logs in your Kubernetes console or store the needed logs in a file. Namespace contains configuration that will be helpful when different teams or projects share a Kubernetes cluster. pvclaim EKS contains the configuration for where we will provide the information for the file system. And service provides a single point of entry for accessing one or more pods. I have already created the Kubernetes cluster and node group in Amazon EKS to deploy Bold Reports. Next, we need to configure the AWS. For that, I run this command. This asks you to enter the AWS access key ID. I enter the ID and press enter. It asks you to enter the AWS secret access key and then the AWS region code. You can get the region code from the AWS website. I enter the default output format as JSON. Then, I need to update the kube config by running this command. In it, US East 1 stands for the region name, and Bold Reports stands for the cluster name. Next, I run this command to deploy the CSI driver. It will create all the necessary CSI drivers. Next, we need to deploy the Nginx Ingress controller. For that, I run this command. I have created an EFS file system to store the shared folders for application usage and map the subnets and security groups. I make a note of the file system ID, which will be used in the next step. I open the pvclaim eks.yaml file, enter the volume handle ID value with the file system ID, and save it. Next, we need to deploy the Kubernetes metric server to use the horizontal pod autoscaler. I first deploy the metric server. Then, I run this command to verify the metric server deployment is running. You can get the status here. Then, I run this command to create a namespace for Bold Reports. Bold Service is my namespace. Next, I run this command to create the config map. In this demo, I am going to deploy the report server using the Ingress IP address. If you would like to set up the report server with a domain, then you can directly add the domain name and TLS secret name under the TLS and rules section in the ingress.yaml file. By default, the application will be hosted in non-SSL mode. If you want to configure SSL, we need to add the domain and SSL configuration in the ingress.yaml file. Before configuring SSL, I need to create the TLS secret with the SSL certificate by running this command. Bold reports TLS is the secret name. This indicates the path for the .pem file and the .crt file path. You should use your domain SSL certificate. We run this command to apply the bold reports ingress and get the IP address of the Nginx Ingress. We then run this command until we get an ingress IP address. Once you have the IP address, you need to map it with the domain you added in the ingress.yaml file. Here, I deploy the application using the IP address. Next, I open the deployment.yaml file and replace the domain or ingress IP address in the application base URL. If you want to use third-party data sources like MySQL, Oracle, or PostgreSQL in your report, then you need to install them while deploying the report server. If you want to install more than one client library, then separate each with commas. Here I specify MySQL, Oracle, and PostgreSQL. Then I apply the configuration from pvclaim EKS by running this command for creating a persistent volume and persistent volume claim. Then, I apply the configuration in the deployment file by running this command for creating and managing pods with the specified number of replicas and the provided image. Next, I apply the configuration in HPA by running this command for setting up autoscaling for the Kubernetes horizontal pod autoscaler. And then I create all the services by running this command. You can see the services are created. Once all the deployment files are applied, we need to check the pod status. I run this command. We have to wait until all the pods are running. Let me run the command again. You will see all the pods are running. Now the report server is ready for startup. I open the browser and then navigate to the domain or ingress IP address provided in the application base URL to configure the report server. First, we need to activate the Bold Reports account either by using online credentials or by uploading the offline unlock key. You can download the unlock key from your Bold Reports accounts page and upload it here. For this demonstration, I am going to activate it by using online credentials. I click Login to activate the account and enter my Bold Reports credentials. Since I have only one portal license, the portal license selection process was skipped in this setup. If you have more than one portal license, you'll need to select one. Next, I configure the administrator user by entering the user information and password. Then, I click the Next button. Here, we can configure the database to store the report server data. You can store reports in SQL Server, PostgreSQL, or MySQL databases. I choose PostgreSQL for this demo. The fields will be reloaded based on the selected database. I provide the necessary information in the required fields. I choose New Database. And I provide the database name Bold Services Kubernetes. Then I turn on the Enable SSL option to make a secure connection using SSL. I click Next. The report tenant deployment has started and will run in the background. Next, I click Go to Reports and am redirected to the View All page. Here, the sample reports that are already available with the report server can be added by clicking Explore in the Report Sample pop-up. You will see the list of samples already available. By clicking the Add Report button, you can add these reports to the report server. The reports will be added under the Sample Reports category. Clicking on an added report will open it in the report server. Now, I open the Share Data Source Data Connector page. You can see third-party data sources like MySQL, Oracle, and PostgreSQL. The final configuration of the Bold Reports report server with visualization reports items such as charts and gauges will not be available for exporting. To export data visualization report items when scheduling reports, we need to install the PhantomJS client library in our report server. PhantomJS is a headless WebKit scriptable with JavaScript. I'll show you how to install it, but first we need to bash our container. I run this command to get the available container. Next, I run this command to open the shell running in the report's web deployment container. Here, report's web deployment pod is the pod name and Bold Services is the namespace. Now, we will be inside our container. We need to change the current directory to /application/app_data/optional libs by running this command. Then I install the sudo nget tools. Once those are installed, I have to install some required packages. I run this command. Next, I download the latest stable version of PhantomJS from the official website by running this command. Once the download is complete, extract the downloaded archive file to the desired system location by running this command. It will extract the downloaded file and move it to the /usr/local/share directory. Next, I create a symlink of the PhantomJS binary file in the system's bin directory by running this command. We verify whether PhantomJS is installed properly by running this command. If it shows the version number, then PhantomJS is installed properly. Reload the browser and export the report that has charts. Open the exported file, and you can see that the charts are exported. In this video, I introduced the Bold Reports report server, covered the steps to deploy it on the Amazon Elastic Kubernetes service, and then the steps to add optional client libraries. Lastly, we discussed how to install PhantomJS in the deployed application to export the data visualization report items when scheduling. If you found this video useful, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.